Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Well, hello again, and welcome to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of British Columbia. If you're listening to this on the podcast, this is episode 220. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
What a busy weekend it's been. For me in particular, commentating on 3 different games over the course of the weekend, taking in Whitecaps MLS action, plethora of games on the TV. It's just been football.
You do 2 on Friday?
Yeah, it was a double header.
All right.
We've got some good stuff planned for you this evening. We have an exclusive sit-down interview with Carl Robinson. Zach got a chance to talk with him in depth on Friday afternoon. And we really kind of delve into the psyche of Robbo, what makes him tick, what goes behind the thinking of his team, stuff like that. So you don't want to miss that. That's coming up in part 3 of the show. We've also got a chat with Kekuta Manneh, and something which I'm still buzzing about. I got to speak to one of my favourite actors on Saturday, Ray Winstone. Guy maybe not known to too many people here. We know him for different things. Because obviously, being from the UK, and you guys know.
Well, your first introduction was an older movie. I think you said Scum.
Scum. I wanted to have this as a
film about Portland. Oh no, Seattle.
Yeah, see, I wanted to have this as a Scum-themed show, but that would basically just involve putting some snooker balls in a sock and whacking Steve across the head with it.
No,
I thought that maybe not going to go down very well.
I first was introduced to him in Sexy Beast, Ben Kingsley movie.
Excellent film.
I've never seen Sexy Beast.
Fantastic.
You're looking
movie.
At one now.
And Zach, you saw him in, I think.
Well, I'm
recently.
just double checking, but yeah, he was in Indiana Jones 4.
Yeah, Scum was the film that gave him his big break. Then he had a smaller part in Quadrophenia, which is my favourite movie of all time. Quadrophenia and the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. Bit of a difference, but anyway. So that's all coming up. We're going to kick things off by looking at the most recent MLS game. What a game it was. If you had scripted it, I don't think you could have scripted it any better. Kekuta Manneh, Tchani facing each other off, facing their old teams, and it looked from bulk of the last half hour that Kekuta Manneh was going to come back and haunt the Whitecaps, but no, Tchani had other ideas, popped up with a vital 90-second equaliser, 2-2 draw. Very entertaining game, some end-to-end stuff.
It was okay.
Was it okay because it wasn't a win?
No,
I thought disappointing not to win.
I thought the first half was kind of, except for those 5 minutes that the 2 goals were scored in. The first half was, I could have gone. It could have been a little bit more exciting, but definitely the second half picked up right off the bat when Reyna hit the post, and then right to the end when Tchani scored that goal at the end. So it was like a fantastic second half, but the first half could have been a little bit better.
Happy 23rd birthday, Yordy.
I'm not sure if he'll be listening because I'm not sure how good his English is.
He keeps on saying it's not good, but it's fine.
I know. Lots of players do that just because they don't want to do interviews. No one really wants to talk to me. Robert Carlyle didn't.
Yeah, his English is not that great, I guess,
yeah.
too.
But I did have the pleasure after the alumni match of having Begbie say to me, "Nah, I'm not doing any talking, mate. So to me, I wish I'd recorded that. We could have had it as a little bumper for the show.
Yeah, it was once he saw you were media, right?
Yeah.
Your media pass.
It was smiles until he saw my pass, and then I was like, nah. I put on my broadest Scottish accent as well, thinking, hey.
So different than how you're talking now.
Yeah, even broader than this. When Scottish folk get together, it's hard to understand. Something else that's hard to understand. A lot of fans applauded Kekuta Manneh's goal. Whitecaps fans, that is. Obviously, Columbus fans were going crazy.
Yeah, that's...
I understand applauding him as he comes out, getting subbed off after the match, showing him some love, but not cheering on the opposition goal. It was a cracker. I maybe have applauded some goals against my teams before when they've been absolute thunderbolts, but that wasn't the reason I don't think that they were applauding.
No. It was because he played here and they appreciated him. I don't think, for me personally, that's not the... Like, I'm a person who totally appreciates when former players come back and the opportunity to connect with them or whatever, but I don't think I've ever celebrated any of their goals, especially when it's a go-ahead goal.
Yeah.
I can understand if the Whitecaps were up 5-0 and then he scores, and appreciate it.
Which is what I told him. If you listen to episode 219, our midweek podcast, I told him that. I said I would be happy for him if he scores, as long as it's not an important one.
Yeah.
Looking at the stats from the game, two pretty even teams in some regards. Columbus 15 shots, Whitecaps 13. Columbus 8 on target, Whitecaps 4. Possession again. We talked about this last week. Columbus is a team you do not want to give up a lot of possession to, and it's 60% to 40%. I mean, we know, and we're going to hear from Robbo about that later in the show, but you can't just keep giving up this possession, especially to dangerous teams like that.
And the thing is, you know what you need to do? You need to record like something about that possession and goals. Because like that Pink Floyd song about meat and pudding, you can't have any goals if you don't have any possession. How can you get any goals if you don't have any possession?
Yes,
you need to record something like
Scottish
that.
Accent to do that.
Yeah, you should do something like that. No, but they're going to do that. They're not interested in possession. Yeah. They're not a team that can carry possession too much. Their midfield are Gazal, Tchani yesterday. Reyna can carry possession, but he can't do it by himself. So you don't expect it too much. He just has no support in there.
Countering the counter.
Yeah.
Something else we'll talk to Rob about later in the show.
Yeah, Vancouver has, I believe it's the fewest completed passes in the league, and at the bottom or near the bottom of, I think, attempted passes as well. They don't value possession, and that's just
but
how
who
they
cares?
play.
We're top of the league.
Who cares when you're winning? Yeah,
exactly.
But when you don't win, you'll take great flack for it.
Let's quickly look at the goals. We won't go into them in tons of depth. Freddie effing Montero, 12th goal of the season for number 12. Right in the middle of the 12% off for season tickets.
That's
was
brutal.
It was announced.
That was shockingly brutal.
They were so desperately hoping that he scored during this 12% promotion.
That was ready to go. That bit of paper
ready to go.
Come on.
So people in our section were retching when that was announced. Like, do you think from the general populace that no one cares?
Oh, nobody paid attention to it at all.
I laughed hilariously in the press box.
Yeah.
What kind of laughter was it?
I think it was more subliminal.
So it wasn't a laugh of disgust?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was more a laugh of, I cannot believe.
They did that.
Now, it was clever marketing. I will give them that. But I still can't believe they did that.
Oh, and then they tweeted out, I think, the same thing?
No, yeah. I don't remember the tweet.
No, it was because I embedded it in your match report.
Okay.
You don't read your match report.
No, I don't. Just like I don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, but Montero's goal. Some nice interplay in the build-up to it. Christian Montero, the hair of Yordy Reyna.
Christian who?
Teixeira.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't know who I said.
Yeah.
The hair of Yordy Reyna.
I think he did get his head on it. He didn't put it down. It wasn't just brushing off the hair, because it basically dropped on the ground and just really settled for Montero there, and he was able to get a great strike on it.
Yeah, lovely finish. 1-0. I was like, yes, here we go. Going to go on, dominate this, maybe win 3-1. Expected them to score. But then, minutes later, a guy that I really like, very impressed by his play the last two seasons, Ola Kamara, Spoke to him after the game, but that's for a written piece we're going to do on AFTN next week. Manneh with the assist. Skinning. Can we say skinning, maybe? Well, getting the better of, anyway, the Whitecaps defence.
Jake, getting past Jake.
I mean, that's probably one of the few mistakes Nerwinski made the whole afternoon.
But Jake, that's the only thing you could do there. You have to play it, and then Manneh was fast enough to get in and out and just get the cross in right away. And Kamara was the one that just got in front of Parker there, got his foot to it and just poked it through.
Got right between Parker and Waston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some people talk in social media circles saying that the center backs or the guys who played three of the games or a lot of the minutes this week looked tired or sluggish, and I think that's one of the examples they would maybe point to.
Well, we don't have to worry too much about Kendall being sluggish. He picked up a yellow card, is suspended for the next game, which
awesome.
I'm happy with.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes I say players get these yellow cards deliberately. That wasn't deliberate because I don't think he really thought he was going to get a yellow card for that. But I think he would have got one later on. Freeing him up not to play against Colorado, but keeping him good to play against Seattle.
For real.
And probably Sporting, too. I don't think he's going to get... Hopefully he doesn't get a red card there, so then he'll play in the next couple of games.
Little worried, though, about Freddie, because he is one suspension away from missing the Seattle game as well.
I think he'll just make sure he plays smart.
I could see the Colorado lineup being more similar to, let's say, the game against Minnesota than the game against Columbus.
Interesting. Well, we'll come to that in part two.
Sorry, I hope that, but yeah, we'll get
now.
That
also,
later.
remember Montero got a lot of his yellow cards when they were pressuring up high, and they don't do that as much as they were. So maybe that might make.
And he is experienced; he can keep his head.
Yeah,
very
but
experienced.
The end of the first half, there's a couple of close calls for Columbus, but I mean 1-1 kind of felt fair at half time. Second half though, Caps came out. Reyna, beautiful little turn in the box, crashes off the right post, and you're thinking, I hope that doesn't come back to haunt them. But we also thought, we hope Kekuta Manneh doesn't come back to haunt us. And as Robbo says in his post-match chat, it's like he knows what he's capable of and he didn't want to see it. He did see it. Lovely run. Left Gazal just trailing in his wake. Gazal's obviously a guy that doesn't know Kekuta that well and doesn't know his pace. Got nowhere near him. Can't fault him for it, really, because Kekuta was in full flow by the time I think Gazal tried to shut him down.
At the beginning of the play, that wasn't part of the problem at the beginning of the play, that both members of the double shield, kind of their spacing and their positioning was
they were off.
Quite off, yeah.
And
created this huge space to run
into. And then he
into.
was basically, I think he ran about 15 feet or 20 feet. He had a run of that, and then he had 30. It was a 30-yard strike or something like that.
What is that in yards? This is football. We talk
yards. I meant yards.
I don't know. I work in feet.
Sorry, I meant yards.
But what a strike. 25-yarder.
30.
35. He'll be telling his grandkids it was 60-yarders. Yeah, that day I went back to Vancouver and I hit the 60-yarder and the home fans went crazy.
Scooter's a good guy.
Yeah, I love him.
Based on what he wants to do, I'm hoping that's not his biggest thing that he tells his grandkids. He's hoping too.
Touche.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very true. We'll hear that in part two. But yeah, great strike. And after that, the Caps tried to get the equaliser. Reyna again getting a header this time off the left post, and you're starting to think, not going to be our afternoon. Into stoppage time. But you just felt there could be one last push. It came, and it had to be. TT, Tony Tchani, anything Manneh can do, Tchani can do, maybe not better because it wasn't a 25-yarder, but he can poke the ball home from close range off an opposition defender. They all count, like penalties. They all count.
No, he could do better because Kekuta Manneh doesn't have as long legs as Tchani, so he wouldn't have been able to get to that ball.
Plus, Kekuta's was just a go-ahead goal.
Yeah.
This was a clutch equaliser.
Yeah, in the injury time.
Tchani should be goal of the week for me.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah,
right off somebody's hand too.
Yeah.
I think it bounced off somebody's hand. But the build up to the play too. Kendall Waston. Somebody, I can't remember who, mentioned in the post game about how Kendall Waston froze on that header and allowed it to go to Montero, and then Montero crossed it in.
Yeah, it was a second phase of a dead ball, right?
Yeah.
Montero's cross was sublime. That he knew exactly what he's doing. He's like, if I can't reach, I think it was Timmy. if I can't reach Timmy's head, it's going to fall to the back at Tchani. He knew exactly what he was doing. That was one of the passes of the season for me. Obviously, you don't agree because you can't stand Freddie Montero, Zach.
No, I have nothing against him as a person. I just don't like. I actually, I had the beginning of an interesting conversation at training on Friday, and we'll see what happens.
And then you walked away.
No, I didn't. We'll see what that leads to.
So that's some of our thoughts on the game. We'll be back with a few more, but let's hear now from both head coaches. And we're going to do things a little bit different this week because Gregg Berhalter from Columbus Crew is going to be first. Then we're going to have Robbo. The reason for that is Berhalter makes some comments, and we're going to talk about that after we hear this.
And it's also chronological order, too.
Yes.
Yellow swag, Columbus Crew. Yellow swag, Columbus Crew. Yellow swag, Columbus Crew.
Greg, was that a game that if it was scripted with both guys scoring against their former teams, was it just on the cards that something like that was going to happen today?
Yeah, I think that's nice. Happy for both those guys. Obviously, particularly happy for Kekuta for the warm reception by the fans, but not only that, the performance. I talked to him about how important he is to this team and how he's going to be able to make an impact down the stretch, and he showed. He showed it, and really happy for his performance tonight.
It's like this, you're against the team that's top in the West. Do you leave happy with a point, or do you feel that you threw it away at the end there?
No, I don't think we're happy with a point. If you look in the dressing room, the guys aren't happy. We wanted to prove a point. It came back through the grapevine that they're calling us a soft team, and they're going to be physical with us. And it'd be interesting to see the thoughts now after the game, because I didn't see it that way at all. I think we controlled the match. We defended well, set pieces, which we knew was a big strength of theirs, and looked a more aggressive team and looked a team that wanted to attack, wanted to score goals. So we're disappointed at the end that they got the goal, but we'll keep our heads up and keep working.
Obviously in the East, Toronto's kind of running away with things at the moment, but speaking to Kekuta during the week, he believes that you can make a real good run in the playoffs. Do you see your team as maybe a dark horse for the postseason? You've definitely got the players that can connect and do some damage in the postseason.
I don't think we're interested at, what everyone has to say. We believe in our group. The guys believe in each other, and we keep our heads down and we keep working. Toronto's had an exceptional year, one for the history books, and they're the team everyone's trying to catch. But, we'll take it game by game, keep our heads down and keep working.
Not bad. Not bad in certain areas. I thought we were a little bit... we weren't sharp enough. And I thought that might be the case after 3 games, the third game in a week. We were maybe 80% playing, and I think that worked to their favour because they're a very good possession-orientated team. They like to lull you and obviously slow the tempo of the game down. And when they got the goal ahead, then obviously that's what they did for 20-odd minutes or so. So I think we deserved a point based upon the chances we had. Yordy hits the post twice. Should score, maybe both of them. But until I see it again, I'm happy with the point. I'll take it. It shows great character that this group has got. Great attitude, never say die attitude. Can we be better? Yeah, of course we can. We know that individually, collectively. But when you're not sharp, your mind is tired, emotions are tired, and I think we were. It's important you grind. When I say grind, I mean fight, scrap, do all the fundamentals off the ball that you need to do to try and gain a bit of momentum when you do have the ball. And that's what we did, especially in those last 10 minutes. And if it would have been another 5 minutes, I think the momentum was with us and we probably could have got another goal. So really pleased with the guys.
Is it a pretty good story where you got former teammates, former trading partners or whatever, getting the goals against their former teammates?
I think it's fitting. I know what Kekuta can do. I said I have a great relationship with the boy, and I think he showed today, moments of brilliance. Having said that, I think Jake Nowinski was excellent against him. He probably let one cross in today in the first half, and Kekuta managed to obviously set up the goal for Kamara. The second, I think we allowed him space to do that, but I've seen it time and time again in training. I didn't want to see it again today, but I did. So credit to the boy. Obviously we get on great, so happy for him, but happy for Tony as well. You know, Tony's come up big for us a number of times this year, and he might not get the plaudits that maybe Kekuta does, but he certainly should today.
Coach Berhalter was just in here, and he was saying that he heard through the grapevine leading up to this match that the Caps were saying that his team was soft. I'm wondering what your assessment of that is.
It's a great grapevine, isn't it? It really is. I just seen Gregg now on the way out because he it was told to me, and I told him I did say that, but I told him to try and use it as motivation for my team. He used it for motivation for his team, and I used it for motivation for my team because they were very good. Technically, they're as good as anyone in this league at the way they build and the way they play. They got those type of players. So I used it, and I told him, and we were fine. We're good.
Yeah. Yellow gold, yellow shoes, yellow beach, Columbus crew. Yellow diamonds, I want a yellow coupe. Yellow swag, Columbus crew. Yellow swag, Columbus crew.
The gaffers there.
Columbus crew.
I prefer the normal exit to the gaffer interview music.
I've saved that for when we speak to the gaffer.
Oh, okay.
Damn, should have spoilers, damn. Right, let's talk about something Gregg Berhalter said there. How he had heard through the grapevine that the Whitecaps thought that Columbus were soft. Robbo's response, great grapevine that is. Now, that grapevine surely has to be, Robbo told the players that, one of the players told Kekuta, Kekuta told the Columbus players. But yeah, I mean, Berhalter not Mr. Cheery after the game.
Yeah, he wanted to talk to his former player after the game as well, right?
Yes, yeah. If you haven't seen this, at the end of the broadcast, Tony Tchani is speaking to Terry Big Man Dunfield, and Berhalter comes over, basically says something like, remember, you're first, we're not first, which I take to mean you're meant to be first, but we were better than you. Hard to really take it any other way.
Yeah, they got the road draw.
Yeah, but then everyone's like, oh no, it was good nature because he gives him a little slap in an end.
His face
did
just
not...
not...
like Kendall slapped Kekuta and we'll probably get a 5-match ban.
Yeah, no, that's normal. Yeah, I can't believe people were calling for that on Twitter. But, no, I know it's a gift now and whatever, but his facial expression did not look like jovial, joking, like whatever. It looked
to be fair,
kind of serious.
I don't know if he smiles.
Right.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
He laughed a little bit when you asked the Kamara question.
Yeah, that was a dismissive laugh.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I like Ola Kamara.
I know. He totally took your questions wrong. It was unbelievable.
Anyway, going back just to wrap up the game, which Whitecaps players stood out for you, and was there any that disappointed?
Well, I think Yordy Reyna stood out, even though he didn't score. Obviously felt like he should have scored, but his play, his creativity, he's become the fulcrum of the attack.
Yeah. Is it fair to say he is the best Yordy in Vancouver since Peter Beardsley?
Clearly. I agree.
Sure.
Any other players stood out? What about defensively? Anyone shine? I don't think so.
See, some people, I think, were giving Jake a bit of a hard time for
not being able to contain one of the fastest guys in MLS.
I thought overall, because Kekuta, the goal he scored, he was playing centrally there.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing on the wing, and that wasn't where Jake
was.
was.
I think it's just from that one assist. Apart from that, I thought Nowinski had a good game again.
I think
and got forward well.
That's why Kekuta had to go centrally, because he couldn't get anything down the wing.
That's a bit harsh.
I didn't think he was that bad, but some people were critical. I thought it brought it back down to earth, or back down to...
Yeah. I honestly don't think anyone really excelled or stood out, but nobody was really
awful.
poor either. It was just an average performance against a good team.
So we didn't
evenly matched teams.
I don't think we talked about him last game or the previous game. What about Breck Shea?
He didn't really impress me, but he didn't unimpress me. He just blah.
Yeah, there were a couple moments where I thought he didn't realize, like there was one play where the Columbus Crew player was running to keep the ball in in the Whitecap zone.
Yes, because you told
and Shea was just standing around there, and he didn't follow him, and then he actually kept it in, and then Shea realized, oh my God, he kept it in, so then he had to go after the player. So there's just a couple of moments, but he seems to be a player who who, like I said, like we said after the Minnesota game, relies on his talent more and is either conserving energy or doesn't want to use it as much.
He pops up with big goals.
He pops up with he
stood
very
out at half
talented.
time with whatever the hell that was he was wearing for the fishing thing. That was. I know I'm not Mr. Fashionable, as I'm in my Whitecaps polo shirt tonight.
Yeah.
I was commentating though, so
yeah,
haven't had time to change.
I know someone who's gone golfing with him, and he wears fun clothes all the time. But
I thought he was going to show up with a gun to the fishing thing.
Yes, we thought that shoot the fish out. That would be fantastic. So who was your Whitecaps man of the match? Reyna?
I would, because Reyna was all over the pitch, and he was because Columbus had to keep like 3 people around him. They basically they made a triangle around whenever he had the ball.
Yeah, he got a lot of attention. Which we will come to when we talk about Reyna in part 2. But I think Reyna's probably the man of the match.
For me, I think he would be, yes.
Yeah. Now, Columbus really impressed me. I joked to Kekuta after the match that it was nice to see him, and I would see him back here in December for the MLS Cup. To which he shot back, "Oh, well, we're going to be there. I don't know about you guys."
Classic.
So I could see that. Obviously, Toronto just now are running away with Supporters' Shield. As Berhalter says, it's like a season for the ages, potentially, for them.
And I think the Galaxy basically laid down for them today.
Oh, that
was last night.
Yeah.
Well, last night? Yeah, it was last night. I thought it was today for some reason.
They didn't know what day it was.
Yeah,
so, I mean, that's totally fine.
The Galaxy are trash.
And they're playing for them.
The Galaxy, that was a bad, one of the worst results, I think, for them for the season.
It's not going to be a good Thanksgiving in the Siggy Schmidt household.
Oh, man.
Turkey will be slaughtered.
Oh man, and what a terrible time for them to implode and just self-destruct the way they have. Like next year is going to be crazy.
It seems like there's going to be 2 expansion teams in LA.
Yes, that's going to be a nice battle. The results yesterday saw Portland and Seattle, and I think Sporting KC eliminated from the Supporters' Shield contention, but we're still in it with a shout. We could still win the Supporters' Shield.
We could still.
We're a point still in the race.
Vancouver could still finish outside the playoffs
and qualify for Champions League if we win. No, actually we don't.
Mate, Toronto 62 points, 11 ahead now of New York City. But Columbus are in 4th place, ticking along nicely. They've got 4 games to go, 44 points. It would be a massive surprise if they don't make the postseason now. I do see them as a bit of a dark horse.
Well, when you have a guy like Higuain, you can play...
Ola Kamara.
And Ola Kamara who can finish. But Higuain is a guy, when he's on, you can play good quality possession football, and he can distribute and score and create. And so they're dangerous. And Ola has been good in his time at Columbus.
And Higuain, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he said this is his last year with the Crew.
I think
he mentioned something like that. He hinted at it at least.
Yeah, because they could lose a lot of players this offseason.
He might be motivated to do something in his last year.
Kamara as well, he's had interest from back in Europe. He's Norwegian. I tweeted out, half in fun but half meaning it. Imagine him and Montero up front for the Caps. That would be just glorious.
Yeah.
2 strikers?
Yeah, I know. It's like crazy talk, but bear with me. But yet, another player they could lose is Kekuta Manneh. He is out of contract at the end of the season. If you listen to my chat with him on Thursday's podcast, he talked about his frustration. He was very open about it. But I got a chance to catch up with Kekuta after the match, just chatting about his emotions about being back on the BC Place pitch and a lot more besides. So let's hear now from Scoor.
It's tough. But it's really nice. I was really excited coming back to Vancouver. The city gave me everything I had and everything I am today. Basically grew up here, and I consider it as a home for me. So yeah, it was a bit emotional coming down. Different to being with in different colors. But it was fun. The whole trip was fun. We came down Wednesday. The boys enjoyed the city and saw them around and met some old friends. But I thought it was good. It was good. It was just it felt a little bit weird. It was different, But we enjoyed it and. It's good to be back.
Is there part of you that feels Vancouver let you go too early and you maybe had a bit of a point to prove?
I think so. I think so. I think it's funny. As soon as I got to Columbus, Coach Gregg told me, he said, I think they gave up on you early. We know what you can do, and that's why we brought you here. I love this city. I wanted to be here, but sometimes things don't, work that way. Coaches and the organization see it different. They have different plans, and unfortunately we had to part ways. But I love this team. I wanted to be here.
You're out of contract at the end of the season. Are you just keeping all your options open right now?
Yeah, I am. I am keeping all my options open. We'll see what happens, but I want to explore. I want to go out of my comfort zone and do things that I've been wanting to do my whole since I started playing soccer. That's to go and play in Europe. That's obviously something another option that we're looking at. I'm looking at, my agent is looking at too. But you never know. Things never work. Sometimes things don't work out as planned. I could be here, but I think I really individually, personally, I want to go to Europe and, explore and see what it's all about. But we'll see what happens. It's too early for me to say. I just want to stay out of that and, let my agent work that in off season, and we can start figuring things out. I think, January is far away. A few months, we have to, kind of sort things out. But we'll see what happens. I'm just trying to leave it alone right now, and help crew to, win the MLS Cup.
I know we talked a little bit about that during the week, but a lot of people are now kind of tipping Columbus as dark horses to maybe make a good run in the post-season. A performance like today, it must show that you can definitely compete with the best in MLS.
Yeah, definitely. We've always believed that we're a very good team. We know we're a very good team. We have quality players. If you look at it, the competition on the team, it's unbelievable, especially, in the attacking third. Coach leaving Justin Miran behind and scoring double digits. This season, and so that tells you that the competition is really, really high. The quality, of the team is unbelievable. I just think, the only thing is if we can keep playing as a team and, fight for each other. We know we have the talent. We gotta compete and have the heart to want to win something this year. And I think we have that mentality. You can see it. Everybody is on board. Want to win something this year, and I think they reflect on a little bit of 2015, when they lost to Portland. And I think all the guys that have been there now are hungry. They've tested it, and they want to win. They want to win something this year. I think we're going in the right direction. Really having a really good run. If we can keep that going, I think we'll end up with something at the end of the year.
Thanks so much, Scott. Kekuta Manneh there. Interesting that he's keeping his options open in some ways, because I guess if he starts to light it up for Columbus down the stretch, he may want to stay there, but it'd be a big, big surprise.
Kekuta Manneh will not be in Columbus next year.
Bang goes our first round draft pick. We might just have to settle for a wad of cash instead, I guess.
Sure.
No, but is he a free agent? Is he free to go, or is he?
He's not a free agent in MLS world. But
no. Is he?
He's out of contract.
He's out of contract. Yeah.
As he said to me on Thursday, when he talked about how he knew the writing was on the wall from the Whitecaps, he basically said the way that the Camilo situation played out, he knew that they wouldn't want to take a risk that he might test them, and they wouldn't get anything for him. I wish him well. I hope if he goes to Europe he makes it. It's a dream for him. He really wants to do it, and let's just hope that he does.
Yeah, you gotta wish him well. Everyone, all the people who clapped and applauded for him, I'm sure wish him well. But it'll be exciting to see what's next for him.
Yeah, and something else that's going to be very exciting is this Western Conference. Now, it's split between two races, 2 lots of 4.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay. The looks on your faces there was like, where's he going?
Well,
what's he going to condone now?
The reason why that popped in my head was because I was watching the Emmys in the background, and obviously when there's that kind of stuff, political stuff comes up, and so that's why when you said that, I was like, oh, what?
Yeah, there's two firm races in MLS West.
Yeah.
There's the top 4, 1 point between them, and then
5 through 8.
Yeah, crazily, the last 2 places have just gone insane, and
Shocking.
you've got RSL and San Jose in them, and you've got the 2 Texan teams out of them.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Who? No,
It's
no
like a
one.
hurricane went through that bottom 4.
Oh, no. I think that's too early, Steve.
Oh, is it?
No, seriously, not one person would have thought Dallas would be able to take the dive that they're on.
No. But
Oh,
actually,
Steve.
no.
Oh,
Yeah,
Steve.
Steve did. Steve said that. But, I mean, we talked not even that long ago. And we were talking to Jonathan Tannenwald, and we were talking to Stephen Agan from Radio Cascadia, and it's like, do you see any of these teams possibly pushing the top 6? And they're like, no.
Yeah. It is
Crazy.
It is crazy.
Well, RSL has to prove Martin McMahon wrong. Essentially, that's what they're trying to do. Because then they say then he go to their coach and say, "Oh,
yeah.
you guys have no chance at the playoffs now."
Yeah, he's like, really?
Yeah.
Just want to get this right. You still think you can do this?
Yeah, and right now they're in the playoffs. Although they do, the
They
other
have played
teams,
more games.
They have more games,
Yeah.
2 more games than the guys behind them.
The crazy thing is, the team that's top of the West, Vancouver, has 6 games left, and if they didn't get all the points, or if they dropped all the points, or only got a couple, they could finish outside the top 6.
Yeah.
And, well, see, this is the thing. You look at the Caps running now, and you look at who's below them, and they're playing all 3 teams. All of them on the road. That's a scary proposition, but we have done well on the road.
Yeah, and the thing is, in order to clinch at least the top 4 spot, they need, their magic number is like 11. So any combination of essentially Houston, because they got the most games, any combination of them losing 11 points or us gaining 11 points, and we clinch the top 4 spot.
And
so,
it is now confirmed we cannot finish bottom.
No.
Colorado's draw at the weekend means we cannot finish bottom of the West. No relegation for us this year. We won't be going to USL. There'll be no Whitecaps teams in USL next season.
No wooden spoon.
Wouldn't that be awesome if Colorado was going to USL?
That would be great. Maybe not for Colorado.
No, not for Colorado, but I'm sure they.
Poor
I'm sure
Tim
they.
Howard.
I'm sure that in that state they'd be able to get over it somehow.
Well,
I'm
the
pretty
thing
sure.
is, NASL would want them to come to them because they think they're in the division.
Well,
2.
yeah, and they are desperate right now. I guess that segues nicely into Colorado. They are next up for the Whitecaps on Saturday. We may do a preview podcast. I'm going to see if I can get hold of Tim Howard. Wanted to get hold of it's not going to happen. He's probably going to shout at me. I wanted to speak to Kevin Doyle, but he might still be suffering from a concussion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He suffered a concussion 2 games ago.
I think as long as he talks in a dark room, he doesn't have to have the lights on. He'll be fine. It's a
Who knows what he might say.
Yeah.
But he was questionable for the game on Saturday and he didn't make it. So you have to think he might be back. But does it matter who even plays for Colorado? Are they just that bad? They did get a draw at the weekend.
Yeah. To put it in your language, Michael, they're rubbish.
Yes, love that word.
This is maybe not preview-ish, but I just want to. There's been some people talking in this way, and it's been disturbing to hear. But I've heard some people talk about we'll leave their names out of it. But some people talking about how basically like Vancouver is this year's Colorado, right? Like last year, Colorado.
They've made a good run, and then
They were poor the year before. They've been solid defensively. They've been focusing on defense, and they're near the top of the West.
To use another UK word that I love, bollocks. Now, 2015, Whitecaps had their best ever MLS season. 2016, underperformed. Our big question going into 2017 is, what one was the real Whitecaps? We're doing really well. So you have to say 2 out of 3 good seasons? No way are we doing what Colorado did. That's absolute bollocks.
I thought it was also very poor analysis. I don't know if I'd say Vancouver's doing really, really well. They're doing well.
They're top of the Western Conference.
Yes, they're doing well in the context of the Western Conference.
Yes. Which is
that's
the
all that matters
that
at this
they play
point.
in.
Yeah, that's
really,
all that matters at this point.
Yeah.
But no supporter shield. No. I'm
Haters
bugging
going to hate. Just because they're not going to win the Supporter Shield or the Cascadia Cup.
Didn't win the Voyageurs Cup.
Canadian Championship.
Oh, shut your mouth.
I'm just trying to rile you up now. I mean, are you expecting a shock at the weekend? Are Colorado going to come here and go, gosh darn it, we're going to show this table-topping team? That's my best Colorado accent.
I thought it was more like, could be like a slacker high accent.
Somebody
being high or something.
I can't do North American accents. Now, you may say I can't do Jamaican. My Nigerian I never got to air last week. You guys shut me down on that.
Yep. That was the right decision.
Of everybody
Saving that till I speak to Noza. He knows that I'm good with that accent. So
it's funny when you say that you sound Jamaican.
Too much time with Darren.
It borders into Welsh as well. Yeah. Right, Whitecaps team. You hinted in part one that you think it might be more Minnesota-esque lineup.
Yeah, as opposed to Salt Lake or Columbus. It's not so much a think; it's more a hope, because they'll want to win both games, but a failure to win Seattle away loses the Cascadia Cup, and that's what right now I think they should. Right now, what I want to see them do.
I personally think that if I would put the strong lineups in Colorado and Seattle and put the B lineup against Sporting, even though we're competing against Sporting, because you can you can guarantee that 3 points in those two, and then that so-called B team can go there and earn a draw if they play like against Orlando. Nobody thought they were going to get anything out against Orlando, so they can grind something out against Kansas City on the road, and then they're back to home.
That's a good shout too, Steve.
I mean, we talked about possible fatigue from some of the players over the 3 games. A lot of the guys did play in all 3 games. And got a tweet here from Greg Petrie at Our Dumb World. He thought Parker struggled in the game on Saturday against Columbus. Some poor clearances and turnovers, and he chalks that up to fatigue. Says, and Zach's just yawning. He also has fatigue. It's been a long day for Zach. He's been up at UBC for
all the
7 hours so far.
The one pass, not under pressure late in the game, where Tim just hoofed the ball, tried to put it out wide left with no pressure on him, and then it went into touch. But
Timmy was at the WFC 2 game today with his dog.
With his dog,
adorable. I got a picture of the back of both of them. That will make it into our dogs and football section at some point.
Everyone's excited about that.
Yeah. So, do you see Montero then being rested? Do you see Eric getting a start up front?
Again,
reward for how he did against Mini?
I don't think that'll happen for sure. I would be okay if that happened.
No, I got Montero starting the first 2 games and maybe resting the 3rd game.
What about Alphonso Davies? Now, a lot of people were disappointed in how he played against Columbus. I was one of them. I actually said to Steve, overrated.
I don't think he was horrible against Columbus. I thought his decision making was a little off here and there. But when he kind of started playing left back when they went 2-3 at the back, because I talked to Robbo afterwards, and he said that Gazal was told to hang back in front of Boston and Parker, not to move up too forward. So I think when he started playing left back, actually I thought he started playing well again. It's just the initial time when he first got on was a little off. I think he's just working through stuff. That's essentially, it's a 16-year-old kid.
I might butcher this kind of quote or this kind of thought, but isn't the saying something along the lines of "form is temporary, class is permanent," right? And so I think Alphonso is not in the greatest form playing for Vancouver, especially.
I do think he's a bit banged up.
Okay,
and folk are critical that Robbo isn't playing him. And Robbo has constantly said, and we're going to have a piece on that this week on AFTN, trust me, I know what I'm doing with the boy.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's mentioned that a number of times where He said that in training he's seen these guys and he can see their energy levels in training, and that's why he picks the starting lineup the way he does.
And I think the squad selection has to do with the form. I think if his form was better, I think he would be playing a little bit more than he is, whether that's start or earlier subs or whatever.
So it's going to be an interesting lineup for sure on Saturday. Some quick predictions. I will kick things off. I'm confident 4-0 Whitecaps.
I will say 2-0 Whitecaps.
And you're in a bit of a roll. You've had quite a lot of good results.
I was going to say 3-1 for Vancouver.
Oh, was a bit worried there. Didn't know what was happening. One last question about the lineup. Does David Ousted get the rest? Does Stefan Marinovic get his first home start in goal?
In some ways, it was a little surprising Stefan didn't play maybe against Minnesota or something.
I was expecting him to.
Yes.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
I think he might. I just think he might get the nod.
Might be this time.
But Stefan Marinovic is already one of my favourite Whitecaps. Love talking to the guy.
I had a good conversation about his time at Unterhaching. It was,
He is the first person to swear in our chocolate digestive section. I have cut it out. I thought the Caps probably wouldn't be happy if I left it in. But if you hear a lot of laughing, that's why. So let's find out. Does Kiwi keeper Stefan Marinovic fancy a chocolate digestive?
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it's unsuggested? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Right. So you're at home at night.
Yeah.
You're having a hot beverage of choice. Would you have a tea or a coffee?
Tea. 100%. At night time.
Yeah.
I don't want to be up till 1 o'clock in the morning, eyes wide open in bed. I need a cup of tea with a little bit of milk and it'll be good.
And are you a biscuit person? And if so, what would be your biscuit of choice?
Biscuit of choice. I'm not really a biscuit person, I'm totally honest.
Okay.
But if it would be a biscuit, one of those plain biscuits you can dip.
I was going to ask, do you dunk? So there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Dunk.
That's great. Thanks so much, Stephen.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
All right, have a good one.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it's unsuggested? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Hey, it's Marco Bustos. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
It is that time of year again. The playoffs are around the corner and the Whitecaps are in good position. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of British Columbia. That was the Stereophonics there, Local Boy and Photographs, one of Carl Robinson's favourite Welsh bands, and he picked them over the Super Furry Animals when I asked him that a few years back. That still hurts me. He kind of went down in my estimation the way that Martin Rennie went down when he picked Walker's Shortbread instead of Dean's from Huntley. It's the little things in life that matter. But yeah, Carl Robinson will have been dancing away to the Stereophonics as we played that there. And Zach, you had a chance to sit down with Robbo on Friday. A very, very long chat you had with him. We haven't got it all on tape, but you had a long chat with him. And you really kind of delved into his psyche a little bit. What makes him tick? What goes behind how he builds a team? How he just puts his team together, how he plays, and a lot of stuff like that.
Well, there's some questions I've asked him in the past and talked to him in the past, and I feel like sometimes the echo chamber that social media can be. I've heard some of these similar things discussed and questioned and analyzed and whatever. And I mean, it started off. It all started off with you said, "Hey, if you get a chance, could you ask this one question?"
Which we haven't got in this bit.
Right.
We're going to have that
later.
after. I've kind of done this in
so
two
it all
bits,
started.
yeah.
It all started with that, and then I just kind of was like, "Oh well, let's just keep talking." And
let's hear now from Robbo.
Yo, Carl Robinson, you're back again. If you do this again, pretty soon we'll be friends. You're the newest member of my fully sick faction. Got your rhymes locked, loaded, ready for action.
You're the voice. Like you're the person who has to. When things are good, you have to. The people come to you. When things are bad, people come to you. Things are obviously better, maybe the best they've been since, or at least for the last couple of years. How do you stay even keeled? Because I know that's a priority for you. How do you stay level headed in the midst of all the ups and downs?
Well, I think you know me, and people who know me well, know I don't get too caught up when things are going too well, and don't get too down when things aren't going too well.
But how do you specifically do that? Is it what are there things that you do that you don't do?
I act the same. I treat everyone else the same. I don't shout from cloud nine. You don't, if you get ahead of yourself, you get kicked in the teeth. I've learned that as a player. When you win promotion and you think you're the best team, and then the first 4 games of the Premier League you lose comprehensively, and then you're the worst team again. So you can't get above yourself. I don't. I know it's back to work next day. You fish and chip paper the previous day. But you got to work hard. In any job, no matter what you do, and we're talking about professional football here at Vancouver, is you got to come to work and you got to work harder every day. The day that you are able to, or you think you've done it or arrived and you stand still, it'll be the day you should leave. And I generally use that ethos as what I believe. And if ever I think that we've cracked it, then I might as well walk away.
Is it fair to say, you've kind of publicly said a number of times, when things are not going well, talk to me.
Yeah.
It's my fault. I'll handle it. When things are going well, I'll make sure that, it was this player who contributed in that way, this group who did this, and all that kind of stuff. Do you feel that? So in doing that, sometimes you have to be repetitive. You have to say, this was this way, or just, do you feel sometimes, and I know you don't read it all, but I'm sure you hear about it. Do you feel like sometimes there's been like unfair criticism for that, for like not enough, for too much protecting of the players, too much not letting the players publicly own mistakes or poor form or?
Yeah, no, not at all. I coach a certain way. I coach the way I played. The way I played was I protected all my key guys within my team and young guys, and I would take the criticism. If we played badly, I would accept it as the captain of the team and responsibility. And when we done well, I would give them praise, because I was a player that didn't need to be told how good I was. I knew what I was good at and what I wasn't good at, and I kept it pretty simple. And it's the same as a coach. I'm willing to take accountability because I'm thick-skinned, I've got strong shoulders, and I'm able to deal with it. And if you're not able to deal with accountability, if you work in a football club, then again, you shouldn't be in it. That's the reality of it. I say to my players, if you're not able to deal with pressure on a Saturday and playing in front of 23,000, if you're not playing well, then you shouldn't play. Because we do something we love. I certainly love coaching. The players certainly love playing. So that's what you've got to embrace it. And if you're not mentally tough and you can't deal with it, listen, find another job.
Yeah. This season, in terms of how we play, in terms of how you have set the players out to play, there's been, I think it would be fair to say that there's been more nuance over the course of the season than other seasons. Not just formations. I know formation's not a big deal for you. It's more about how you're playing and what. But it still feels like there's been more variation, both in formation and in the tactical approach. I heard you recently talk about the identity of the team of being obviously solid defensively, being willing kind of to absorb pressure and be okay with not having a lot of possession, but countering well. And also being varied in the ways that the players attack.
Yep.
Is that correct? You want to expand on that? How do you feel this season about because formations and the different approaches that there've been?
Yeah, listen, I think that's a fair assessment. I watch games. I watch between 5 and 10 games live every week of football, and when you watch as much football as I do, then you learn from it. And I watched Man United last year in the Europa League final against Ajax, who played brilliantly. Man United had 30-odd% possession and won the trophy and won 2-0 the game. People get caught up in statistics, whether you have more shots than the opposition, whether you have more possession, whether you have more crosses and things like that. The game's about winning. You've got to find ways to win. Irrelevant, but you've also got to find ways of winning with your players. I use the example of Toronto with Michael Bradley. Michael Bradley's arguably the best midfield player in the league because, one, he's paid the most money, and two, because he is the best player.
and they're a possession-orientated team because he is that good. So they're able to play to their strengths and be a possession team because they've got the best midfield player in the league. We've got really good midfield players that are good at certain aspects of the game, and what we try and do is find an identity to match my players' strengths. You know, every player's got weaknesses, and if you expose their weaknesses in a game scenario, then they're not going to, one, remain confident, be confident, and two, probably turn in the performances you want to try and win games of football in MLS. So I try to limit that. You know, do I want the ball? Yes, we have 40%, 50%, whatever percent possession. It doesn't matter. It's about what you do in both boxes. You know, we had a lot of possession last year and we were unable to find a goal scorer. You know, we've got a goal scorer in Freddie Montero this year, but we've also got transitional players. We've got more pace in the team. We've added more strength in the team. We've added more defensive cover in the team, and we're keeping out goals. And football's pretty simple. Keep the ball out of your net and score more goals than the opposition, and irrelevant what happens in between. You know, we all want to play like Barcelona. Unfortunately, Barcelona only play like Barcelona.
Transitional is, I think, the key word that in describing things this year. Do you think that's a word, a transitional team? Is that one of the key words for you?
It is, but to be a transitional team, you've got to have transitional players. And last year, I think something we lacked was transitional players, and transitions in modern day football. You know, counter-attacks is another word you use for it. Is a massive thing. You know, we're talking now in football in Europe of countering the counter. You know, so they're going way and above steps that, you know, lots of, general people will probably not understand. And it's how you implement that in your playing style, in your training sessions, in your way you play on a Saturday. And it takes time. You said you can't build your team overnight. You can't restructure your team overnight. You've got to do it bit by bit. And in the 4-year period I've been here, I think we've managed to strengthen the team. We've made some key decisions at key times, and really uncomfortable decisions, because, you know, when you have fan favourites here, you've got to sometimes move them on for certain reasons. When you have key young players, you've got to move them on at certain times because you don't want to block pathways, and everything's done because we're in a cap-orientated league. But nothing's ever personal. You know, that's the way I say to the players, and decisions are made for the sake of the group and the team trying to win games of football. So, yeah, transitions are key in modern day football.
So, you can only play with the players you have. I've once heard it said by Ziggy Schmidt that MLS is really like every year is a roster building. You're going to have 10 players out of your 30-ish that are coming and going, maybe more. So this is year 4?
Yeah.
Year 4. So it feels like there's been a progression. Like I think people would say the strength and depth of the squad has progressed and is probably the deepest it's ever been. Yeah. It's probably the same, similar throughout the league because of salary budget and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Are you? And you obviously famously kind of said in the preseason, you know, sometimes when it comes to doing things with bringing players in, parameters are there. Sometimes they change, and that's part of life. How do you feel about? Like, do you feel that your approach this season throughout the year and being able to vary it and change it is because you've been able to bring in so many more diverse players than, say, previous years, different type of dynamic players? And
we've certainly got a different group of players based on characteristics of certain types of players. You look at the number 10 scenario, we've got obviously Nico Mosqueda, we've got Yordy Reyna, we've got Christian Bolaños who's played in there, we've got Alphonso Davis that I've played in there at certain times. They've all got different characteristics, and when you're building a roster, it's important you don't have two of the same player in the same positions, because if you do, then you're making a change, one due to injury, suspension or loss of form, and you're not able to adjust whether it's in-game or against different opposition. So, you know, what I've managed to do over a period of time is bring in different characteristics of different players in different areas, and that's the only way you're going to be able to find solutions to problems. Football's about problems, and other teams which play you on a weekend try and give you problems, and you have to find ways of winning. You know, do you look at the players all over the league? You look at the new franchises coming in. You know, the Atlanta United are a perfect example. You know, they're a great possession-orientated team. They were a great transition team, you know, but they spent a lot of money on their team. So, you know, you've got to give them credit for that, and they've done it, and they're getting rewards. You know, the game against New England, I think, is a perfect example of what they can do, and they could do that to any team in the league. I know teams might disagree, and referees had a say in the game and things like that, but you pay for what you get. So, you know, the way we work here, the way I work here, I'm really happy with the group of players I have. and I work with what I got, and I try and get the best out of my players, and I push them to the limit. That's one thing I'll say about this group is mentally they're able to deal with it in training, because if you push them to the limits, the day that they join the club to the day they leave the club, all they can say is that you made them a better player and also a better person.
So you obviously the amount you can invest in your squad in terms of salary and transfer fees and all that kind of stuff shapes or directs or usually results in how well you're going to do. Yeah. So is part of what you're saying, or that like one of the things that happens in Vancouver is we can't spend as much as other people, but when you look, we're getting maybe more out of what we have than other people have.
We spend money here in Vancouver.
Yeah. But on the squad specifically.
Yeah, no. Listen, we spend every penny that we have, and I try and. You're
saying there's no more pennies.
I try and make. If I've got $1 million to spend on a player, I'll spend $1 million, because $1 million player is probably better than a $500,000 player. That's just generally not just here in Vancouver. That's generally in football. If you spend $10 million, you're more likely to find a centre forward that scores more goals than a $1 million player. That's the reality of football. And that's why transfer fees are going through the roof at the moment in world football. So, we work with what we've got. I like going out to find little gems. I say this all the time, and unfortunately little gems are in different countries. Uruguay and Peru and Costa Rica and Nigeria and places like that. We have to go and find players, because there's thousands and thousands of players out there all looking for clubs, but they've all got to be able to play. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. The reality is when you work in a certain type of market with certain types of players, it's probably 50-50 about whether you get it right. And you've got to be honest with that. It's a chance every time you sign a player. It's a chance. It'll work or it doesn't work. So we have a good recruitment structure here in place. I'm very confident with the way we analyse players, and when we watch players, we get a good idea of, based upon what I want and what I'm looking for in players, of what fits the team based upon what we're about. And we're very good at that, but we must continue to be good at that as the league evolves and as more TAM money comes in and as more allocation, more money comes in, because the players in the league are getting better and better, and you've got to try and keep up with the Joneses.
So it's good to hear that you're spending every penny that you have to spend. I think from a supporter fan perspective, I think that's good to hear. I think people will want to know that whatever budgets are being set, or we're using as much as we can. So 7 matches left. Yeah, things are at the beginning of the year. I think whether it was explicit or implicit, the understanding was we want to be in and around qualifying for the playoffs and in good form to make the best possible run at winning what most people view as the ultimate prize, MLS Cup. 7 matches left. Lots can still happen. Yeah. Poor form could happen. Yeah. Great form could happen. How are you feeling about these final 7 games and the possibility of living out what you have been planning for all year?
I think every team, every manager, every club will be, at the start of the season, they set the targets, and the targets are obviously to try and win MLS Cup. The targets are to get in the playoffs. The teams that are in the playoffs or are at the top of the table will. It's easy for them to say that's what we set out to do. Every team sets out to do that. Unfortunately, only 6 teams can make it, and 5 or 6 teams miss out in each conference. And then, for whatever reason, whether it's to do with they've had a number of injuries, whether it's a loss of form, whether it's a coaching change, whether it's the players haven't gelled, whether it's a bad season. So, all I know with us is, at the start of the year we set out some targets. A big target of ours was trying to qualify for the Champions League, trying to go as far as we could. We got through that. It was an unbelievable effort against New York Red Bulls. We played an unbelievable game against Tigres, and we were beaten by better players, better quality, all round, and we have to hold our hand up. But what an experience to play in a game like that. Some of these players, that'll be the biggest game they ever play in. So we accepted that. We got as far as we could in that, and we come up just a little bit short. And our target has got to be, we've got to try and get there again if we can. We might not, we might, but that's a huge goal of ours, was to try and get where we got. In the early part of the season, the 4 games after Champions League games, prior to Champions League games, I rotated my squad. because the full focus went into the Champions League, because that was a club initiative, it was a manager's initiative, and that's what I wanted to have a go at. We dropped probably a few too many points that we needed to, but we had to accept that based upon the squad we had and the injuries we had. We pick up key injuries at wrong times and things like that. So I accepted that, and I took accountability for that, which is what I always do. As the season's evolved, we've managed to get fitter, we've managed to get stronger, we've managed to get healthier, and we've managed to hit a little bit of form, and we've won a lot of games based upon the players leaving everything that they have out on the field. And one thing I'll say about my group is they always give me absolutely everything they have. And if we come up a little bit short, it'll be based upon we were beaten by better quality. And you have to hold your hands up sometimes. Man United play against Bournemouth. If Man United perform to their levels and Bournemouth perform to their levels, Man United are going to win. And you have to be open and honest with that. We're performing to the levels, and the boys deserve a lot of credit for that, because they're playing at their maximums. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But if we continue to do that between now and the end of the season and win as many games as we can, who knows where we'll end up.
Cool. Carl, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
He's the gaffer. You can try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all. He's the gaffer.
The gaffer there. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. It was a very good insight.
I love the song.
Yeah.
As you can tell by my stuttering, it was very casual and just...
That's how we do things.
The questions...
That's what we're known for. Wait till you hear my Ray Winstone interview.
Yeah. The questions were not written down. They were just came out of what he was saying. And
that's what I find the best way to interview. Genuinely, it's it comes from the heart, and yeah. Anything stand out in particular from what he said to you, Zach?
Two things. One is what he talked about, accountability and being a part of a football club. I found that very interesting.
I thought you might.
For a number of reasons. Number two, the fact that he expressed that he feels like he is spending all the money he's being given.
Every penny.
Penny.
You kept pushing him.
Yeah. He expressed like he's
I'm
spending all the money.
Asking for a balance sheet.
All the money he's been given to spend on the squad, they're spending. So.
He had to express it because you kept asking about it.
It was. I did like how you followed up. I thought
no, you have to, because otherwise you get the same answer.
Well, exactly, because part of even that early question about how do you stay balanced or whatever. The answer he gave was a good answer. It's a true answer, but we've heard him say that before. So I just want to be like, hey, what does that really look like in your life? And try and follow it up a little bit.
So let us know what you thought of that, whether you're listening to this show live on CITR Radio or whether you're listening to the podcast during the week. Tweet us your thoughts, and we'll cover some of that in next Sunday's show. Now, of course, he finished there, says, who knows where they'll end up? I think on a bus with the MLS Cup. Carol Valentine yelling... You are the number one fans. We are the number one team. It's made for that.
Ever since we had Anna in the podcast, you've turned around completely.
She rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
Okay, is the squad good enough, Michael?
I think
they can
yes.
have they showed that.
I think this might be the first time I can recall in the MLS era where...
Yes, this is the first time I feel that we have a good enough squad because we have depth at basically every position, 2 deep at least.
And the thing is they look at the run they're on now, right? Say they slow down a little bit in the lead up to the playoffs, but they make the playoffs. If they go on that same run again that they're on right now, they will have a decent chance.
They find a way to win on the road.
Yeah.
And that...
Yeah, but there's been other years where they've had, especially in MLS circles, a good road record, a good away record.
But this is better. They haven't had anything like this in other seasons.
And there's no denying that a lot of the Whitecaps' upturn in fortune since July has been since Yordy Reyna recovered from his horrendous injury put upon him.
Diagnosed on the spot live by Zach, metatarsal.
Yes.
Well, what's that thing we were on?
Mixler.
Mixler, right?
We need to do another one of those. We haven't done one of those for a while.
I've
paid a lot of money for that. We've done 2 shows in it.
Maybe the playoffs.
Wait, what is a lot of money?
A lot of money to me.
Okay.
Double digits. I think it's $99 for the year. That's a lot of money.
Sorry, I shouldn't.
I like a 99, as anyone listening to our ice cream segment knows, which I had to cut from this week. No one's going to get to hear Tim Parker's ice cream of choice until next time. But back to Yordy Reyna. That's what everyone wants to talk about. Reyna's been great, and a question which Steve came up with, I think, a couple of games ago.
Minnesota game, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, was everyone's talking about where would the Caps be if they had Yordy Reyna for the whole year. But as Steve pointed out very astutely, where would Yordy Reyna be if he'd played a whole season? Well, that was something that we put to Robbo, and we'll hear what he says, and then we'll have a little chat about that.
So people are saying, where would the team be if we'd had Reyna all season? But where would Reyna be if he'd played all year? He's been kicked lots, right? Is it better to have him rested and effective now than tired after a hard season of being kicked up the backside all year long?
It's a really good question. I would like to have had him all season because I think you've seen in the short period of time he's been available how effective he's been with assisting, with crew scoring goals, but also our general play. You know, we look a more dynamic team and a more creative team with him in the team. So I think it's important that he gets the protection he deserves, as all the other top level key small players get in the league. So, you know, I would like to have it in most of the season because maybe we might have been in a little bit better position than what we're in at the moment.
The last 2 home games, would it be unfair to say that you felt like he hasn't been as protected as some of those creative players in the league or threats in the league have been?
Yeah, it's finding the balance because I believe football is a physical game, physical sport, and you can't take the art of tackling out the game, and sometimes there's decisions that go against you or, you know, involved in the game that you don't agree with, and that happens. But, you know, if there's a certain rule to protect the key players, then yes, I feel he should get more protection because he's small, his use of his body is excellent, and it doesn't matter whether it's him or Javinko or, you know, Piatti, these types of players, Mauro Diaz, they need to be protected, irrelevant of what team they play for.
That first part of your answer sounded like the tough tackling center midfielder for Wales, and the second half sounded like the coach of a great player.
So Robbo there answering that question. So what's your thoughts on that? If we had Reyna fit, not injured by Ridgewell pre-season, brutally injured by that thug, where would Reyna be now? Would he be beat up? Would he be a Pedro? Would he have been having trouble breaking down at this point in the season and not being the talisman that we now have?
No, that's the reason I was wondering the question, because I thought to myself, like, where would we be if he had been here all year? Then I was thinking, because he just got knocked down by a defender or a midfielder. I go,
and he go back up again.
Yeah, he's getting knocked down around, knocked all over the place. Where would he be? Like, would he be worn down by now if he'd played the whole year? So I think it's hard for me to say. I think he would have been. I don't think he would be as effective right now, but maybe he would have got more points in the early of the year.
I think there's lots of different. This is obviously a hypothetical question, whatever. Yeah. Lots of ways you could come at it, but one of the things I think about is at the time he kind of came in late in the preseason. And like even in the Portland game, like if I remember, like he wasn't playing full games. Like he was being subbed on, or he started and then got taken off early. So
he didn't have his metatarsal in shape.
No, not that. Okay. But like he wasn't in. So
he definitely came on as sub, and he might have been pulled off once in Portland.
Right. So he wasn't in the same form that everyone else was, and I know they would have probably tried to ease him in terms of how much he played, like in the Champions League and all that kind of stuff. But I would have that. You never know if that would have given him a slow start.
Yeah,
and that would have been affected his morale and his confidence, and that would have affected his play or not. I'm not saying it would have, or but that's one of the things because it's easy to say.
You don't know.
Yeah,
we can only speculate. But I would honestly rather have him now doing what he's doing, had a slowish start or inconsistent start, and just be the team that we are now, Reyna and Montero, their partnership that they've got together, their understanding. He's brought out the best of Montero. Montero's hit his best form of the season since Jordy's in the team.
And it also fits with this bigger perspective of it doesn't matter so much how you do at the beginning of the year. It matters that you're in a cup spot and you're in good form.
Exactly.
And so far, I know there's still 6 games. So far, that's where they're at. So it feels right.
So stop asking the question, where would they be? Just be happy with what we have. That music can only mean one thing. It's time for BC Soccer Web headlines. Brought to you by our partners, bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for local, national and international news and links. So, Steve, what did you find on BC Soccer Web this past week?
A lot of very good articles. Obviously, they were reviewing, you get your typical articles about, what's going on in the soccer world on the pitch and everything. But we try to look like stuff off the pitch. One article, Alexei Lalas had a little bit of a go at U.S. national team members.
Just a little bit.
So the Guardian actually talked to some of the players, and one of the headline was "The Lion Doesn't Care About the Sheep," and I think that was from Michael Bradley. He actually said that. So I think
he played it. I think he tried to play it down a little bit after.
But then he used that comment, which he's describing who he's describing. Another article: French city to send misspelled Montpellier jerseys to Vermont. Montpellier, sorry. They
mispronounced as well as misspelled.
Yes. They had their jerseys misspelled, the names of the city. So what they did was they sent to a city in Vermont who have that same jersey. And the spelling is correct for them. Essentially, it's 2 L's instead of 1.
That was like that time the Sounders got all their strips that just said Wankers FC on it.
Yeah. And then what Vermont's planning to do is have high school teams wear it for a couple of games, auction it off, and then donate the money to charity.
Nice.
It's a nice story there. From the Hamilton Spectator, Canadian Premier League working quietly out of Toronto office. So there's people actually working now on this thing. And there's 10 people.
No, there's 3, and I thought there's 3 currently, and then
I saw a tweet. I didn't read it.
No, there's about 10 in the
10.
office. There's about 10 in the office. They're working at different levels. They're planning on opening up a Hamilton office as well. So I'm assuming they'll open up something in the West as well. I'm hoping they would.
Hamilton said from the outset there's going to be a league office here. But they also said that they could play in their stadium,
yes, that's
which
true.
is a
that
bit
hasn't been sorted out
bit
yet.
of a frustrating thing.
Yes. Like much of this league, it's all up in the air right now.
No, it's not up in the air.
I know. I'm poking your thing.
His stomach?
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Well, they had meetings this week, I heard, somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure they're having meetings every day, if you think of it. Andre Villas-Boas investigated after accusing Evergrande of car crashes. Now, I saw this headline. I go, what's going on here? Basically, the former Tottenham coach is coaching in China. They're in the Asia Champions League. He's basically accusing a team that he's accusing the refs of doing giving yellow cards when they shouldn't be given and all that stuff. And then part of it, he mentioned that he thinks the opposing team is arranging car crashes in front of their bus route to slow them down to the stadium, which was
that is the
wild.
ultimate conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
We have talked about having a conspiracy theory section on the show.
Wow. He went.
We just get him on every week.
He went all out on that one. That was a crazy article.
He's the David Icke of football.
Another article from the Guardian. Infantino, the new FIFA president.
Yes.
He's been accused of interfering with governance.
And a lovely picture in the article.
With Putin in the background. Yes. He basically, I think the disciplinary committee or the ethics committee wanted to ban a Russian delegate, and he's kind of standing in the way. So they're investigating him now. So it's kind of getting already a little strange. But at least the committee is working. People are getting investigated instead of it just people being able to do whatever they want. The anti-Beckhams. Another article.
Oh, yeah.
The UK footballers choosing to start their careers in the US. It's about players leaving the academy, coming to the US, either playing college or playing lower professional teams and moving up that way.
There's definitely been more and more guys from the UK coming over on scholarships to NCAA. And the amount of players that make it through the academy system in the UK, it's crazy. It's just that really low single digit. Most of them never make it to the top flight. A lot of them end up just getting farmed out to lower league teams. Most of them end up in non-league or just out of the game altogether. So in a lot of ways, it does make sense that they come over here. But then they're coming over here, they're taking our jobs. they're basically taking the jobs of American and Canadian players. And we don't get to send our guys, because I'm putting my Canadian hat on, we don't get to send our guys over there without a lot of hassle. If they don't have a European passport, they can't get a work permit.
Thanks for that pause where you pretended to put a hat on.
I'd like to live what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, it makes sense. If you're one of these English guys, it makes sense. You might not be able to pay.
Most of them's not got much of an education, and because when you talk to UK footballers, a lot of them, they're not the brightest. It's a pleasure to talk to footballers over here. I might just be basing that about East 5 players. I don't know.
No, but seriously, if you recognize you're not going to be able to play at a high level in your home country, and you have an opportunity to get a scholarship, for example, a free education, and play football, that might lead to you be able to play football and you have an education. It's a no-brainer on that side of things.
That's still a disappointing thing for me. I raised it a couple of seasons ago when there was the executive roundtable here, that shouldn't the Whitecaps work with UBC to get their players an education at UBC in conjunction with playing for WFC2? I was told it's something they were looking at. Not heard a dicky bird about that since.
Well, it was difficult back then because of the fact that the teams were based in Burnaby and everything. I'm sure now that they have the development center that they can maybe work that out now. We'll see.
Yeah, I think we will see in that.
An article from the Washington Post, it's time for a change. Boston attorney will challenge Sunil Gulati for the U.S. soccer presidency. Now,
good.
Exciting.
Gulati has ran 3 times unopposed. And so this time, this gentleman, Steve Gans, looks like he will be opposing him. He announced it in Dallas during a youth conference. And looks like he will be opposing Gulati and will get an election for the first time.
Yeah, Gulati's too close to MLS, and that's not healthy, I don't think. So it'll be nice to see someone challenge him, maybe someone with new ideas. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, even if the guy doesn't win, which, to be honest, it's the chance of him winning is so slim, really, the way that things are in American soccer.
Has anyone said about an election in the United States before?
I don't know. I don't think Hillary Clinton could beat Gulati, but I can be proved wrong. I look forward to her next book explaining why she lost.
Next article from the 442.
The 442, I like that.
MLS homegrown arms race is reaching ludicrous levels. Essentially, this is based around...
they signed an octopus?
No. It's based around Sporting Kansas City. They signed, I think it was a 15-year-old from North Carolina. And they're talking about areas that you can cover and everything like that. They basically... they brought him in for a year... made sure that he was with them or whatever, and basically essentially it's kind of people are talking about them going out of the areas, like the teams like Sporting and all the smaller that don't have the talent level to compete with like teams like Dallas and New York and LA where there's a lot more players. So it's kind of people are talking about what lengths people are going to in order to get these players to come in to their cities in order to so they can have homegrown players. And develop.
I would guess that Kansas City is doing everything within the guidelines, or there aren't guidelines, and they're taking advantage of that.
I think it will be like how the Whitecaps can have all these academies all over Canada. Right. It's going to be similar,
but that's because the CSA said it's by population,
and so the Whitecaps have done excellent at taking advantage of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that will all change soon. It's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens with that.
Again, we will see.
We will see. But yeah, but no. So if there's no rules that you have to stay within your state or you have to stay within this population area, then who you can't blame them.
No, you can't have a free for all, or can you? I mean, you do have a free for all in the UK, but it's the big clubs that win out, and that's the problem. So many kids in the UK, I want to be at Liverpool, I want to be at Man United, I want to be at Chelsea or Arsenal. And they go there, and they're never going to break through, most of them.
No one wants to play for Scunthorpe.
No, but that's where they could break through probably and get a chance. It's just...
Up the irons.
Yeah.
Well, there was one player that we'll talk about later that did choose a lower team instead of one of the big teams. We'll talk about him later. Last article, the 11.ca, what a CPL will mean for us. Canadian players speak out. Steven Sandor actually talked to a number of players.
Yeah, excellent article.
And asked them like what's going to come. David Monsalve was part of it. Elijah Adekube, brother of Sam, the part of it. A number of other keepers. They basically just sounded off about how it's going to make a difference for them in not only developing, but keep progressing and building the sport in Canada.
And undoubtedly, it's going to present opportunities. It's going to be another pathway. It's going to be another bridge, if you want, between youth football and, Zach will disagree with me here, but MLS.
Yeah.
Because MLS, to me, will still always be bigger for the foreseeable future than the Canadian Premier League.
It has to be. There's more money in America.
Yeah.
Give it time.
Yeah, that's why I said the immediate future.
Yeah, but I don't think the CPL... Well, I guess there's different ways to look at it. You can look at it from the CPL's perspective, or you can look at it from the player's perspective. And I think, Michael, you're describing the player's perspective on that. This is what they're talking about is what the league is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a place for Canadians to play professionally, develop and grow. And the heart behind it, of course, the CSA is involved, is to help Canada improve, to help Canada qualify for a World Cup, to help Canada, if they co-host a World Cup, to do when they co-host.
Take that, Morocco.
When they do co-host a World Cup, to be able to perform their best. And so I'm excited for, I don't know how many, we've talked about this before, right? You know, what happened in Vancouver with residency players pre-WFC2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how there were not opportunities for them. And so
exactly. And then this allows people like if you're not, like some players will develop late. And then this way you don't have to give up on those players.
Exactly.
And there won't be a lost generation of players where you're wondering, oh, look at that guy. Oh, that guy was so good. Why was it? What happened to him? Where did he go?
Because you have to look at the VMSL and you see a string of ex-Whitecaps and guys that went away to college and they've come back. Some of it is because they've chosen to have careers and not concentrate full-time in football. But, there's definitely a lost generation out there.
Like,
this will stop there being another.
I'll use an example. Like I know that maybe he might not have developed, but a guy like Yasin Essa, back in the day, he was dynamic as
Pegasus now.
Under 18s, but he wasn't a player who was going to go to college. He had no interest in that. He obviously wanted to go pro, but the Whitecaps had nothing at the second level. And he couldn't really latch onto any other team because obviously USL and NASL at that time, they had quota things for Canadian players as well. So I'm sure USL did. I'm not sure about NASL, but there was those quota issues, and he couldn't latch onto anybody.
But he's now the reigning VMSL Imperial Cup champion. So is it all bad?
No, maybe not.
No, you're right. That is an example. Kind of off the wall question for you: who is your favorite late blooming footballer?
Jamie Vardy.
I thought one of you went to that. What about you, Steve?
I can't think of one right now.
For me, it's Luca Toni.
Or me, if I have a breakout game in the media match on Thursday.
Oh, man.
I might dazzle Carol with my skills.
Do you say breakout or broken bone?
It could go either way. It depends if the rain eases up. But, I mean, I watched the celebrities take the pitch on Saturday, and I thought, I could do what some of them are doing.
Yeah.
I could be in Once Upon a Time.
It's too bad Davide's leaving town on Tuesday. Otherwise, maybe he could have been setting you up on Thursday.
Yeah. Is he leaving on Tuesday that early? I was hoping to possibly see him at training on Tuesday.
I think he's leaving on Tuesday. I think so.
Disappointing. But yeah, Davide was another guy that took part in that media game. It was won by the Whites. They beat the Blues. Coach of the White team was English acting legend Ray Winstone. As we talked about at the top of the show, one of my favourite all-time actors. It was a privilege for me to get a chance to speak to Ray after he coached his team to success. So let's hear a little bit now from the Governor, Ray Winstone. So Ray, how was that for you? You got a new career in coaching ahead?
I doubt that very much. I think the day was a really fabulous thing, you know. I mean, to support the BC Children's Hospital is the main important thing, you know. And then to see everyone come here and enjoy themselves, and the amount of support you got from the players and the people watching. So that kind of lifts you up a little bit, doesn't it? It makes them feel better. Football's kind of irrelevant in a way.
Yeah. Are your playing days over then?
They are at the moment. I've had this trouble with the knee where it keeps trying to pop out. You know, right. I think that's what comes with being 60. I think that kind of, I'd probably been knocking myself about a bit too much, you know.
Yeah, possibly. I still remember you from Scum.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's like one of
you
my
got a great
favourite
memory.
films.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that film.
Yeah.
So I still think you as being young.
Yeah.
When you look back at your career, I always thought you were in a lot more football films, but I know you were in like Jimmy Grimble.
That was about the only one with Bobby. With Bobby Carlo, and we've been pretty great mates ever since, I think, so I think that's the only football film I've ever done.
Yeah.
I can't think of another one.
Are you surprised at that? I would have thought you'd have been in a few. Or...
No, not really. I mean, most of them are about football hooligans and that kind of stuff anyway,
true.
And there's been a couple of them have been pretty decent films. The one that Alan Clark made, who actually made the original Scum.
The Firm?
Yeah, The Firm with Gary Oldman. That was a good film,
but
Gary nicked my part there. So.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, the bastard. So Phil Davis was in it. Great old mates. We all started together, and we all kind of came right through the ranks together. So no, but I haven't. No, boxing films. I've done a couple of boxing films, which is kind of more, in a way, what my sport is and what my background is, really.
I know you're a West Ham fan, like myself.
Yeah.
Do you get along to the games much anymore?
The last couple of years has been difficult because I've been filming here in Vancouver. 4 months last year and 2 months this year. So, it's usually the start of the new season, so I usually miss that. I'm going back home in a week or so, and I'll probably go to a couple of games before I go off to Cape Town to finish this job. And then after Christmas again, I'll probably be going,
I've not been to the new stadium yet. Yeah. Have you been to it? And
I've been.
What do you think of it? I miss Upton Park.
Listen, because we miss Upton Park, it's my history, of going there as a young boy. And my life, that's where I'm from. That's the area of London I'm from. So, yes, I do. But I think, with the way the Premiership's gone, and if you want to compete in the Premiership, you needed to move on. We needed to be in a stadium that would attract probably good players, hopefully good players. And we got a bigger capacity for fans. I mean, our fans, really, you could have filled Upton Park 2 or 3 times, to be honest with you, So the club has to evolve. And, I heard all this about, the atmosphere at the stadium. It's complete rubbish. If the team plays well, the atmosphere will, and it has, I've seen it there. When we've had a good night, the atmosphere is fantastic, So I think it's fantastic to be there. I really do. And I have to forget about Upton Park now. It's part of my life. But, we've moved on, and maybe we'll make this the new Upton Park,
What's your thoughts on the team this year? Because they got a draw today. It was one of the most boring games I think you'll probably see all season.
Listen, I've got to tell you, when that comes up every year, West Ham, West Brom, I've been watching it for many, many years. 99 times out of 100, it's the most boring game you'll ever see. It's just they cancel one another out. And to be honest with you, away from home at West Brom to get a point, I'm happy with that. The team, I like the team. The way it played last week at home, when the place was alive and it was buzzing and it was bouncing, we played fantastic because the team went out there, closed down, they run their hearts out, And when that team does that, they can beat anyone, They just got to do it week in, week out, Manager-wise, Billage, I love him. I like Billage. I've got a lot of time for the man, and I've got a lot of time for the job he's doing now,
And just very last thing, do you get a chance to get out and see the Whitecaps, or is it not really?
No, I was supposed to come last weekend, but schedules changed and all that kind of stuff, so I didn't. I've been watching them on the telly. Last year I watched them and they were a bit disappointing last year. I watched the semi-finals with Toronto involved and Seattle and all that, and watched the final. Final was blinding game, very exciting stuff, and the semi-finals were as well. So at first you start watching telly, I'm going to watch Canadian football now, really, But actually, over the years of watching it, because I was here first in 1979, before it even kind of took off football out here, you know. So I was really pleasantly surprised, you know, the standard. It's got a long way to go, but so West Ham.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've got to tell you, the way the games went last year, they were very, very exciting, you know.
That's great. Thanks so much for your time today, Ray. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cockney Rejects there with I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, which was going to be in this week's Wavelength, but I went for a different one instead. But it was a pleasure speaking to Ray Winstone. I could have talked to him for hours. I don't think he would have liked me to. But yeah, great guy.
Good interview.
At least he hung around for the interview.
Yes.
Yeah, it's time for the Flash 5.
Oh,
where we count
Flash
down,
time.
We count down 5. This week, because it's alumni, because Kekuta Manneh made his homecoming return, decided to make it top 5 former Whitecaps still playing in MLS. So I'm not going to give any honorable mentions because that kind of ruins who's in the top 5. So number 5 for me.
So we're going to do honorable mentions at the end.
Yeah, we'll do honorable mentions. Throw some names in there. Number 5 for me, Darren Maddox. Still, it's not shown what what proved to be why he was drafted so high way back when. But still a decent player. He has contributed for Portland, and he shows moments.
He scored against the Whitecaps and celebrated, but it was for him it was a home game in Portland.
So that's all right. Number 4, a guy who a lot of people were missing last year, Stephen Beitashour.
Interesting one.
He's really fit in with TFC right now, obviously with the best team in the league. And
thriving in that environment.
Last year he was, like I said, he was definitely missed here in Vancouver. A lot of people were asking why isn't he here? Why did they get rid of him? This year, not as much because we got some backup.
Well, they got rid of him because of money.
Essentially, they didn't want to pay a right back as much as that because they had other positions they were going to pay higher.
Definitely not the best Iranian in Vancouver. Oh. That is Anna Namcharan.
Oh, of course.
I thought you were going to say Pej, but okay.
Number 3, Zach's brother from another mother.
Wait, he's not number 1?
No. Gershon Kofi.
He's in the top 5?
Yeah. So, yeah, Gershon Kofi, I think officially he's with the Swedish club, but he's been loaned back. Yeah. So he is officially playing in MLS.
Technicality.
He gets number 3 in MLS.
He did not have a great week.
Number 2 from last night, Kekuta Manneh. Obviously, nobody really going into the season expected him to be traded, but he was. And he didn't have a great start to Columbus, but he's kind of seems like maybe it was just one game where he was excited to play against Vancouver, but we'll see exactly where that goes.
I am curious who your number 1 is. Like, seriously curious. I can't think.
I decided when I made up the list that anybody who was with the Whitecaps, whether they played a game or not.
Oh,
so number 1.
No, right, before you give us number 1, let's give us the honourable mentions then.
Okay, honourable mentions. I thought...
I want to try and work this out.
Sheikh Salinas, I thought was a decent honourable mention.
Quality fellow.
He was only here for a year and a bit, but I thought he really settled into San Jose. A guy who I didn't expect to still be in the MLS, Daigo Kobayashi. I did not see
There was a Kobayashi playing against Vancouver today.
There was. And he
Kobayashi.
He scored, and he was actually very good.
It was a nice goal.
Yeah.
Another one, your former co-host said he couldn't hit the side of a barn. Atiba Harris.
I knew Atiba was going to be in there somewhere.
Number 1.
I know who it is.
Lee Nguyen.
Oh, not Alan Gordon.
No, Lee Nguyen. He's essentially leading New England in their attack. He's and the thing is he made a comment, and so he got released. But I think Vancouver would be so much better if they had just held on to him for a little bit.
That was not why he was released, according to the club.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I will always remember Lee for not being able to find the television in his hotel room, and then someone tweeted at him, "Have you tried opening that cupboard?" Good old Lee.
No, the players at the time just could not understand what was going on, why they would do that.
Yeah.
No, I think it was at that time because it was a new club, and it was so public too. and like his comment, it was like right on. Like if he just
you
said
just have to watch though with social media
Yeah.
these days. It's like
but
someone's
like-
always going to jump on you for something.
But so when someone does something wrong or makes a mistake, then you just get rid of them?
Yeah, apparently
No.
there's no forgiveness anymore.
No. In this case, like there have been players this year who have done wrong things, and they haven't been getting rid of. But so it's kind of a different
I don't think it helped
atmosphere.
either that the Metro did a big story on it
Yeah.
either and kind of blew the whole thing up.
Yeah, I think that made the big difference.
Here, I'll tell you something shocking.
Yeah.
There's been players in Vancouver during their time in Vancouver who have done things that are probably far worse.
Oh, for sure, I can guarantee that.
Yeah. I just miss the days of bike racks.
Wait, who else is on your list?
Oh, that's fine.
What about Knighton? I know, but
Knighton. Yeah,
You're not going to list every single person.
No.
that
He
used to
said
play
he.
for the Whitecaps.
No, who else? Who are the? You said there was like 11. You
Oh,
checked.
11, yeah.
He gave us some.
Michael Boxall, obviously,
Right.
Barrett Knighton, and Giles Barnes.
Okay.
That's the only 11. I might have missed somebody. Hopefully I didn't, but that's the 11 I saw.
Well, let's just hope that there are no more Whitecaps X's that come back to kind of haunt us. Now, though, we're close to the end of the show, so that can only mean one thing. It's time for Wavelength. And in honour of my chat with Ray Winstone, I've gone for a West Ham supporting band. The Cockney Rejects. You had a little bit of their version of Bubbles there. This is a song from the 1993 Greatest Hits Volume 3. And continuing our theme for the month of Wavelength, this is a song about football hooliganism and violence on the terracing. I know you didn't want any more, Zach, but
we don't want to know what you condone.
I have a lot. I condone these songs. They're awesome.
Condemn.
Why can you just play the normal version of Bubbles?
Too blah. Anyway, this is the Cockney Rejects and War on the Terraces.
It's all done right over there. Suits and stays on clear. And you never not let it go. By the times that we battled there, the sun shines right on the gutter. And you remember that he was there. And you should know not too long ago. And that you could have been by his hair. War on the terraces. War on the terraces. It was war on the terraces.
Cockney Rejects there and War on the Terraces. Cockney Rejects, the band that sent off Upton Park, the bowling ground, played a few songs, that historic night. Wonderful.
Yeah, and I thought there was going to be some war on the terraces this week.
Yes.
In London.
But there was to an extent.
A little bit here and there. Yeah, they definitely blitzkrieg London this week.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. the Cologne fans. It
was 20,000.
Yeah, 20,000. They had 2,900 tickets.
Yeah.
No, okay. So you know what happens with this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we talk about this before?
No.
Kick crap out of each other.
No. I've heard from people that what the supporters, let's use the term supporters, will sometimes do is, not all of your mates have a ticket, and so you just all push your way through, and at one time you get in.
Yes.
And
I don't think
you can do that if maybe like a few guys don't have tickets.
I don't think that happened though. I think a lot of people bought the tickets on the black market.
They did.
And then
They bought them from Arsenal fans that were selling them.
And
they
I also
tried to get into the away end because there was a lot of space there.
I also heard that a lot of the supporters basically because they bought Arsenal memberships, knowing that they were
changed their wallpaper on their phones, bought Arsenal scarves, everything like that.
And then they switched once they got in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Cologne fans were wonderful.
Amazing.
That's just what football should be.
Totally. The lead up into the stadium, in the stadium, they might have lost on the scoreboard, but they won off the field.
And you're gonna have in those cases you're gonna have some people fighting. That's no big deal. That happens here in BC.
But just for people's clarity, in the UK, right, or maybe in all of Europe, you can't go if you're an away supporter. You can't just go into like it happens at BC Place. When Seattle comes, you'll see green shirts anywhere.
Yeah, you can't just go.
You can't do that, right?
No.
They'll remove you.
Fulham are a rare club. They actually have a stand where supporters of any team can go and mingle. You don't even have to be a Fulham supporter or an away supporter. They had a stand just for people to go and mix.
But in general?
In general, no.
Right. So if you showed up, you were wearing the other team's kit, they'd say, sorry, you have to go.
Yes.
Even if once you sit down, too.
Yeah.
They'll actually escort you out.
Yeah.
Anyway, now you talked about losing on the scoreboard, but basically winning in everyone's hearts. I think that was WFC2 today. 2-1 defeat. Their playoff hopes are now officially over.
Oh, so you got to stop.
Yeah.
Bustos scored again today.
Yes.
A nice goal.
Nice finish.
I don't know do you know what his celebration was? He put his 3 fingers up.
No, I
maybe it's the 3 of his brothers
asked,
and sisters. Maybe there's 3 of them.
We should have asked him that when he was showing off his sweet boots and talking about his defensive game.
Yes. But Marco had amazing shoes on today. I loved them. Kind of very punk-esque. Talking of punk, actually, going back to Wavelength, when I was putting this together, my wife's like, do all the songs have to be punk? I was like, yes. Yes, they do.
That's not true.
No, it is. I have a whole load of punk songs coming.
Most
of them about football violence.
You're all your honor, right?
Yes. That's what I'll say to the judge when I go to court. Yes, Your Honour. Thank you very much. You have my all. But Whitecaps 2, went down 2-1 today. Sad.
Debut of a new player.
Yes.
Danny Barbier. No,
he looked good though. Strapping lad, as Corey kept describing him in the.
No, he's a player. Broadcast. He's a player who like other big clubs were after.
Yes.
That's the one I was talking
about.
The
Whitecaps have kind of gone in now to make sure they get him. 6-month deal though.
No,
that's
talking,
interesting.
I'm actually talking about when he was 14, 15. The big clubs in England were going after.
Yes.
Man City.
Started
Chelsea.
off in Man City Academy, went to West Brom for 3 years,
and he chose to go with a smaller club.
Sure, he could do it on a wet night in Stoke by scoring a goal in his 3 appearances.
Yeah, but unfortunately today, he said it looked good. The wet turf at UBC was not his friend, and he looked at least partially at fault for ultimately the winning goal.
It was an unfortunate loss. I really thought they were going to get something out of it. They definitely deserved to. And, they've got a few games left. Let's just hope they can finish with a flourish and some of the guys can maybe impress Carl Robinson, because who knows where they're going to be next year. But for now, let's just say goodbye. So just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm part of the Movement Curva Collective.
I'm Michael McCaw. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. You can find us on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. Read our stuff. Away from the numbers, aftn.ca. I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com. Hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Until next time, thanks for listening, take care, and mon the Caps.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.